Tonight, a new development in the effort to compensate victims of abuse at a former St. John's orphanage.
Satisfaction that they finally have this answer. We filed these submissions last summer and early fall, so it's been a while. They've had to wait.
After a decades-long court battle, victims of abuse at Mount Cashel finally know how much compensation they could receive.
It's been a really big opportunity for me to get to know Canadians much more.
The Governor-General continued her tour of Labrador, including a stop at CBC's studio in Happy Valley Goose Bay.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Mount Cashel abuse survivors now have a dollar figure. They know the amount of compensation they could receive after a decades-long court battle. More than $100 million has been awarded to nearly 300 victims, but it's not yet clear where all that cash will come from. Here Now's Terry Roberts reports.
Just under 300 abuse victims have had their claims for compensation approved, totaling $104 million. This lawyer represents nearly 200 of those claimants, a net award of more than $65 million.
There are individuals who feel the numbers are perhaps a little low. There are others who feel or are quite pleasantly surprised. So there may be individuals who appeal, but as an aggregate, from my familiarity with the law, that I think they've got that right.
It's an important step for those who have been fighting for compensation from the Roman Catholic Episcopal Corporation of St. John's. The courts determined the corporation was vicariously liable for the abusive behavior of Christian brothers, priests, and other church leaders at institutions like Mount Cashel Orphanage. The corporation was granted court protection from its creditors 2.5 years ago and has been selling off assets, including churches and parish halls. That process has generated more than $40 million, including a $13 million deal for the provincial government to buy former Catholic school properties. But that's far short of the compensation deemed appropriate by a months-long claims process. But the corporation is continuing to liquidate assets. There's a potentially large payout from 2 insurance companies. And lawyers like Jeff Budden say the provincial government has to step up and accept its responsibility.
I think the scenario is that the government, which is already facing a number of lawsuits, will at some point, and some point fairly soon, we will have constructive dialogue with the government with a view to the government meeting its legal obligations.
But more than $100 million, is that achievable?
I'm optimistic that we can, so yes, you could say I'm confident.
Of the 369 claims, 65 were rejected, 10 are pending. Victims could begin to receive a portion of their money by late summer.
The money won't all come at once, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to wait until every last dollar is in.
The average claim award is $356,000 and range from a low of $55,000 to a high of more than $800,000. Claimants have 45 days to appeal. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
The case against a St. John's man accused of killing a mother of 5 children will go straight to Supreme Court without a preliminary inquiry. Attorney General John Hogan has signed off on what's called a direct indictment against Ibrahim Alamad. That means there will not be a preliminary inquiry in which the Crown will test its evidence before a judge. Alamad is charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping in connection with the death of a woman this past winter. The 36-year-old has been in custody since his arrest 4 months ago and is now scheduled for his first court appearance on September 9th. Organizers with St. John's Pride and Palestine Action YYT are defending a commitment to boycott certain companies, saying it's meant to take a stand against corporate interests. The pro-Palestinian group will lead the Pride Parade as Grand Marshals on July 21st. The partnership means companies included on a national pro-Palestinian boycott list that are deemed to profit from the Israel-Hamas war cannot be sponsors of the event. A company related to Harvey's Home Heating is on that list, leading Harvey's to pull its sponsorship of Pride. Palestine Action YYT says its request is about rejecting the corporatization of Pride.
Allowing corporations to use Pride in this way and to capitalize it on as a PR opportunity is something that many in the queer community have been raising concerns over for decades. The idea of the corporatization of pride and the movement to reject it isn't new. But in this case, it's just especially antithetical to ask us as a group that's opposing genocide to march alongside companies that are implicated in that genocide. And we can't do that. And so that's why we proposed this piece to St. John's Pride when they asked us to participate.
Well, other Pride organizations in Atlantic Canada are having a mixed response to pro-Palestinian protests. Fredericton Pride has taken the same stance as St. John's. A Palestinian advocacy group will also lead the Pride Parade there. Halifax Pride is taking a different approach, though. In March, it released a statement in support of Palestine, but it's maintaining its corporate sponsors for this year's festival. Well, Premier Andrew Furey is echoing calls he made in a letter to the federal fisheries minister this week. Furey wants to see joint management of the province's fishery and ban trawlers from fishing in provincial waters.
Lifting the word moratorium by only increasing it by 5,000 tons, by the way. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands of tons. We're talking about 5,000 tons. That brings foreign trawlers back to off our shores. Unacceptable. It's one of the reasons we're in this mess in the first place, is having foreign trawlers off our shores overfishing. I don't want to go up and have a small turbot net and parade around Ottawa, but our voice needs to be heard, and it needs to be heard loud and clear, and that's why I wrote the letter. I'm not going to back down on it. It's time for joint management of our fishery, and it's time to really look at the decision they made and how it impacts foreign trawlers off our shores.
Well, the province announced $500,000 to help build a new sports complex in the St. John's suburb of Gallway. The new facility would house both hockey and curling rinks. Gallway developer and former Premier Danny Williams says the rink is needed in the city's West End.
You know, I've had a vision for Galway that to be a master plan community and have, you know, a lot of the amenities, but this is just huge. It's huge for Galway, it's huge for the city, it's huge for the province. You know what this brings to our province, I mean, it cuts, you know, from an economic development perspective, that helps Galway, but it also helps the province in the biggest kind of a way. Tourism, health and wellness, sport and recreation. You know, it gives us a whole new dimension that we'd never had before. I mean, my grandchildren have travelled to Nova Scotia, travelled to Ontario, travelled to Quebec for tournaments, but now we can bring them all here, and I think it's a superb initiative. I really do.
Well, the warmth is back in the east. We've been seeing warm temperatures through a good chunk of the province for most of this week, but we do have a bit of a cold front moving through. That is cooling some of the temperatures up across the Big Land. However, nice big ridge of high pressure is keeping those skies clear. Now, we do have a few showers working their way across the island at the moment, and these will generally continue as we head through tonight as well. There's that cooler air that I was talking about down to the teens this afternoon for parts of Labrador. 16 degrees in Lab City, 17 in Nain. But we do have that warmth. Like I said, Gander sitting at 27 degrees this afternoon, 25 in Corner Brook. And we do have lots of warm air where that came from. And in fact, that is going to stick around as we head through the weekend. These warmer temperatures will. By the time we get into Sunday, really going to start to see some of that heat up across the Big Land, even more so Monday, more widespread across the island as well. And we're also going to note that the humidity over the next couple of days, especially across Newfoundland, will start to feel a bit more humid. We'll get into all the details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, the Governor General's week-long visit to Newfoundland and Labrador wraps up today. While it was Mary Simon's first official visit to Labrador, she has been in the Big Land before. She sat down with Labrador Morning's Rivu Rashid.
I can't remember exactly when it was, maybe some years ago now, maybe 5 years ago. And I came to Goose Bay and then up to the northern part of Labrador. So that was my last trip to Labrador.
Do you have any connection to Labrador?
I have a lot, yes.
Oh.
Yes, I was born in Cashel at the Hudson Bay Post. And I have many relatives in Labrador. In fact, I met a number of them last night for the first time. And I had a wonderful evening with the family and got to know some of the members of our family. So I'm very happy this morning. You know, in my work, I've always just been who I am. I inspire others, I think, by being myself. and connecting with people. I love connecting with different cultures and different people, and especially in this job, it's been a really big opportunity for me to get to know Canadians much more and to talk to them about issues that they are concerned about. So one of the roles that I play has been, for me, a place where I'm learning. It's always good to learn things, and I'm learning about different issues and different concerns that people have, which is always important for my work, because I'm the Governor General has the role of the Governor General. The main role is really to convene people and to talk to them about Canada and how we should all work together as Canadians. And reconciliation has been a big part of the work that I'm doing, which is to bring Indigenous people and Canadians working more together and working in partnership, making our country with the priorities such as, equality amongst all peoples in the country. And those have been some of the things that I've worked. So when someone tells me I'm an inspiration, I just do what I feel I have in me, like reaching out to people. It's very important. I've worked in this area over my career, and in the north and across the country, there are lots of challenges related to mental health. And now, it's been exacerbated by, I think, the pandemic. I think the pandemic did cause people, being home all the time with no contact has made this issue more challenging, the mental health of people. So I just want people to connect and talk about it, and that's what I'm doing across the country. I started in St. John's, bringing people together to talk about what are the issues that we face, and what are the issues that we can work on together and partner on, because I think mental health system is lagging from our physical well-being in terms of the health providing health. So it's just an area that I feel needs a lot more attention and a lot more work.
3, 2, 1.
Well, folks in Port au Choix welcomed the town's new codfish monument today. It's part of the town's Cod Festival happening this weekend. The 8-foot granite statue was built by Muir's Marble Works. And staying with sea life, whales have been putting on quite a show this week in St. Vincent's along the southern Avalon. And the whale watchers are nearly as plentiful as the whales. We paid a visit to the area yesterday.
Well, they're very big. They can be as big as a school bus, and they're usually around a grayish, blackish, bluish color. They're not usually like bright colors.
Awesome. Just in awe. That's all I can say is in awe, because it's the first time ever. Oh, I say they're about 30 feet out from where I was standing, so it's a once in a lifetime for me.
Well, we're here because there's a lot of whales and capelin. So we came to see the whales. They're most fascinated with the capelin.
It looks very cool when they come up in the water. It looks like it just looks like it doesn't blend into all the other colors, so sometimes you can see it very well.
How exciting. Went down there last weekend. Definitely getting a great show. Now for the weekend, we've got some showers on the way for parts of the province, maybe even a few thunderstorms. I'll tell you all about it coming up.
right, Ashley? It's a beautiful day out there. The weekend's here. How are things looking?
Yeah, so far it's a beautiful day, but we do have some showers on the way, unfortunately, for the southern areas of the island. The weekend, a little unsettled as well. Let's take a look at what's going on out there across the board. So we've got some showers up just passing over the northern peninsula, Green Bay, White Bay area at the moment. And then some showers have been lingering along the south coast as well. But it does look like some stuff is starting to get organized there along the southern areas of the Avalon as well as the Burin Peninsula. So don't be surprised over the next little bit. I mean, even some showers just to the south there going over, looks like potentially the metro area. So don't be surprised to see some showers over the next couple of hours for sure. Temperature-wise, though, beautiful day today, 25, 26 degrees still through parts of Central. It's 21 in St. John's. Along the south coast, though, you're in that onshore flow. And as per usual, your temperatures are a tad cooler into the teens, and still a beautiful evening as well in Mary's Harbor at about 23 degrees this afternoon. So tonight, we're going to see the chances of some showers continue for basically southeastern portions of Labrador. The chance of showers will continue as well, even more so through the overnight for the west coast, and we'll see those showers eventually develop through areas of Central as well. Now, some of these showers could spark some thunder, or spark some lightning rather, and so that risk really through the interior. And some of these could make their way towards Grand Falls, Windsor, and then eventually the northeast coast. So just keep that in mind if you do have any plans for tomorrow. I don't think that they're going to be significant if we do, but you will potentially hear some rumbles of thunder. So the best chance of the storms will be in the morning, and then again maybe late day it looks like, and the best chance of that will be around the Green Bay, White Bay area for that potential thunderstorm potential. Most of the day should stay just cloudy, or a mix of sun and cloud, I should say, for the Avalon. Showers will become more numerous, though, as we head into the evening hours. Up across Labrador, you're looking at a beautiful afternoon, and really not a whole lot changing as you head towards the evening. But this is when we will see the showers become more widespread across the island, including the Avalon and then the northern peninsula as well through the overnight and into Sunday. And the first half of Sunday is going to start a bit wet. Now, eventually, as we head into the afternoon, we should see some those showers taper off through Central, linger a little longer for the Avalon, and then it does look like we'll see a band of showers potentially develop up across Labrador. But again, it shouldn't be anything too significant through your Sunday. Now, as far as temperatures go for tonight, really quite mild through areas of Central, still in the teens tonight. Winds generally out of the southwest or west, anywhere from about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Cool, though, for the north and western portion of Labrador, single digits. Otherwise, you're sitting between 10 to 11 degrees. As we head into tomorrow, that humidity kind of sticking around as well. So it's going to feel very summer-like tomorrow, mid to upper 20s, or low to mid 20s, rather. A few areas may see upper 20s, but again, along the south coast, your temperatures will still be in the teens. Now for Labrador, like I said, a beautiful day. Temperatures in the low 20s, maybe even teens towards the north, but overall, it will be beautiful. Long range forecast showing likely to see temperatures bumping up by the time we get into Tuesday. Into the mid to upper 20s. Overnight lows are going to stay quite mild as well. Other than the rain on Sunday, the start of next week looks pretty decent. Rain will return on Wednesday, or at least showers will return on Wednesday. Really warm through parts of Central, 29, 30 degrees into next week. And again, some humidity in the mix there as well. A little cooler for Western Newfoundland, but still warm into the 20s, and some showers possible by Wednesday. Same thing for Labrador. You will see a cool down by the time we get into Wednesday. Some rain moving in as well, some periods of rain. And then for Western Labrador, your temperatures will dip a little earlier on Tuesday there, but you are still looking at some showers as well. Our weather photo of the day, a beautiful evening with a sunset in Conception Bay. Thank you so much to Dean for that great shot. If you have a great shot there, if you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, you can send them to Facebook or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
That's Kelly's Island?
I believe it is.
Yes, great shot. Thank you so much for that. Well, coming up in our next half hour, we're going to have some special programming celebrating the 60th anniversary of Land and Sea. But before we get to that, let's get to your birthdays and anniversaries. Wishing Pat and Dolores Gambin of McIvers a happy 50th anniversary today. Congratulations to Gilbert and Daphne Pritchett on their 57th anniversary. Happy 54th anniversary to Tony and Ursula Gesso. Congratulations to Bessie and Gordon Bartlett of Kippens, who are marking 70 years of marriage. Happy 56th anniversary to Arthur and Ethel Simmons in Grand Falls, Windsor. Wishing Violet and Milligan Chapel from Virgin Arm a happy 69th wedding anniversary today. Happy 65th anniversary to Percy and Sarah Collins of Hare Bay. Anniversary greetings going out to Shirley and Lloyd Banfield of Ochre Pit Cove. It's their 56th. Alonzo and Lucy Stride will celebrate their 56th anniversary tomorrow. They live on Burnt Berry Pond. Happy 63rd anniversary to Faith and Doug Sellers of Rogers Cove. Happy anniversary to Marg and Dave Pinkson of Wabush. They celebrate 50 years tomorrow. Kaywood and Dora Rideout of Corner Brook have been married for 55 years today. Happy 55th anniversary also to George and Betty Badcock of Gambo. It's a golden anniversary for Gilbert and Bonnie Fudge of Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy 50th anniversary also to Amos and Pauline Dicker of Nain. Congratulations to Wade and Valda Gray. They're also marking 50 years of marriage. Debbie and Derek Andrews of St. John's will celebrate their 50th anniversary tomorrow. Wishing Fred and Blanche Thorne of Burnt Islands a happy 55th anniversary. Anniversary greetings going out to Mervyn and Ruth Stacy of Stephenville. They're celebrating 56 years together. Happy 64th anniversary to Ida and Joe Cull of Gander. Happy 55th anniversary to John and Elaine Spurl of Hodges Cove. Congratulations to Dave and Patsy Carmichael of St. John's, who are marking 62 years of marriage today. Happy anniversary to Dominic and Rose Doyle of Carbonear, who are celebrating 56 years today. Wishing Garth and Mary Tiller of Corner Brook a happy 67th anniversary. Happy anniversary to Linda and Tom Duty, who are marking their 50th. Another golden anniversary. Congratulations to Majors Dinzel and Kathy Baggs. Love from your family and friends. Happy anniversary to Ben and Eleanor White, who are celebrating 57 years today. Happy 55th anniversary to Raymond and Mary Hickey of Coley's Point. Congratulations to Clyde and Sandra Button of Sibley's Cove on your 50th anniversary today. Happy 57th anniversary to Matt and Barry Parsons of Burgeo. Wishing Charlie and Marie White of Corner Brook a wonderful 73rd anniversary. Clifford and Carol Ann Rideout of Greens Pond have been married for 50 years. Congratulations. Happy 60th anniversary to Ed and Shirley Kosh from Mount Pearl. Happy 57th anniversary to Henry and Elsie Percy of Brigus. Now to some birthdays. Happy birthday to Millie Sevier of Exploits Island, who is celebrating her 92nd birthday. She now lives in St. John's. Happy 90th birthday to Eileen Walsh of the Goulds. Wishing Mabel Coates of Stephenville a happy 90th birthday. Happy birthday to Teresa Murphy, who just turned 99. Happy 93rd birthday to Clarence Taylor in St. John's. Birthday wishes going out to Eileen Oak of Corner Brook on her 94th birthday. Happy 90th birthday to Margaret House from Grand Falls, Windsor. Birthday greetings going out to Harriet Green, who's turning 90 next week. Wishing Gerald Dillon of St. John's, now living in Pooch Cove, a happy 90th birthday today. And happy birthday to Daphne Kennedy, who turns 92 tomorrow in Torbay.
If my mother went to bed before 12 o'clock, she was sick. If she wasn't sick, she was spinning.
We'll dig into the CBC archives to mark 60 years of land and sea and tell you what this gathering is all about. That's coming up.
Hi everyone, I'm Jane Adey, host of Land and Sea. This fall we're celebrating a big anniversary, our 60th season on the air. This summer, leading up to our special season, we're dipping into our Land and Sea archives for Here and Now viewers. Today we're taking you all the way back to 1967 and a show called This Land of Ours.
When sun rays crown thy pine-clad hills, and summer spreads her hand, when silver voices tune thy rills, we love thee, windswept land. We love thee, we love thee, we love thee, windswept land.
Codroy, the Valley of the Winds. They come swirling out of the hills, sometimes twice a week in the winter, often at 120 miles an hour. Mrs. Lockie McDougall is the wind watcher. She says, "I've been 27 years looking after the wind." The Canadian National Railway pays her $25 a month. When the wind is rising, she phones down the line and tells them to stop the train. A few years ago, 22 boxcars blew clean off the tracks. Codroy is a valley of violent winds and smiling people.
Oh, that's the one I'm singing.
The people of Codroy Valley, English, French, Irish, and Scottish, and all of them can trace their great-great-grandparents back to the mother country. They're gathering here for a milling frolic to shrink a piece of homespun cloth.
At the milling, the cloth was woven and generally is 36 inches wide. There's no nap on it, there's no nap at all, it's just the warp and the wool. And so we take this cloth and it's put into a tub, it's wet, there's soap put on. Now, then you put it onto this board, then you beat it back and forth. A milling generally lasts about 2 hours. The measure of this cloth, when we used to make pants in olden days, you know, that cloth would be just the width to cut for a pair of man's pants then. But if you mill that for 3 hours, it would become too small. So this woman with the measuring would stop you at the right time, because if they didn't and you got going on, you'd make your cloth too narrow. So they measured up until it became, let's say, 32 inches. Now, that's about the size that you double and cut for a pair of man's pants. One more song.
One more song.
One more song.
Alf Gale, 71 years old, descended from a man who came to Codroy to build a ship over 200 years ago. Hardly anyone makes a living from farming alone, and yet there's rarely any land for sale. Alf Gale's great-great-grandfather settled here 215 years ago. His father began what is now the only carding mill in Newfoundland.
More than 50 years ago, my father brought in the first carding mill in Newfoundland. He went over to Nova Scotia as a young man. I think he was in a sailing schooner. And somewhere in his trip, he seen a carding mill. And he thought about the wool that was around home here. Everyone had sheep, you know. Well, he says, I'm going to have a carding mill. And he got it.
His carding mill is still here. Some of the wool from Newfoundland farms goes over to Prince Edward Island now, but there's enough sent here to keep the old mill running on evenings and weekends. It's hard to explain how a carding mill works. It somehow straightens the fibers, leaves the wool soft and easy to weave.
I've been watching it myself ever since I can remember. I don't know yet. But it comes out in the other end in a roll. And how it gets out in that roll, I don't know. Now, the women, in the wintertime, when they got nothing else to do and when they're not too busy, they take that roll and they go spin away all day. They spin that into yarn, you know. And then they take that yarn and they make that into mitts, socks, blankets, what have you. When I was a young man, about 20, if my mother went to bed before 12 o'clock, she was sick. If she wasn't sick, she was spinning. You couldn't go to a store then and say, I want a pair of pants or I want a Mackinaw jacket. You couldn't get it then. You had to depend on what you wove yourself, what was homemade. We used to call them homemade pants, homemade jackets, homemade underwear. And that would itch like a son of a gun. Was it warm? But boy, would it ever itch.
It was tall stands of fine timber that first brought ships and men to Codroy Valley. They built great schooners and sailed away, but every time a few men stayed. These are their descendants.
She's a little tricky. Don't you know that sometimes even a good car motor is a little tricky to start?
That old saw has worn out 4 car motors.
It's a very small making mill, if you notice, but it's done an awful lot of work. The logs around here, of course, is not as big as they were 40 or 50 years ago. They've been cut out, and mostly what we get now is second growth, small size lumber. But there's more mills than this one around here. There's several mills on the north side of Gallway.
They point to how soft things are now in Codroy Valley compared to early days. And they speak with pride of the old people, the valley's first settlers. Most of all, they have a deep and lasting respect for family.
When the family is young, is before they left to go away, you know, to leave the place, when they get up and able to go out and take a job, well, a lot of them leave. But before they do, it's very common to see half a dozen out in the field.
Children have always been the center and purpose of married life. A young couple's first concern is how to make a living that's fit for your family. And the family will average 9 children.
Oh, they still handle the hay with the pitchfork. There's a few balers. It's only about I think in the last 10 years that the balers came around at all.
Respect for early settlers, family life, and valley tradition still means so much to the older people. Alan MacArthur is 85 and still puts in a good day's work. He's known no other life. But if there's one strong force in the lives of Valley people, it is the church. The Codroy has always been strongly Roman Catholic. At the parish of Searston, 2 men, Monsignor Kerwin and Cease Ledwell, a driving force in the valley's cooperatives. They share a concern for what's happening in this valley. The peaceful life and tranquil surroundings are no longer enough. The young people are leaving.
We have a peculiar way of living here. Just not too far away from here, we have American bases. We have people who have been accustomed to high wages, making perhaps $500–600 a month. And when the big announcement comes that the bases are gone, the bottom drops out of everything. But I don't think you could have the bottom drop out of anything in Codroy Valley, because we have nothing here, but we have a good living here. There's always something to do, anybody who wants to make a living. We can always turn to the forest or to the soil. The soil is the most basic of all, and that you can't deprive any person of.
A farmer would tell you that windswept Codroy Valley has stood still for 20 years. During the war, great bases were built nearby, and young people left home by the hundreds and went to work for big wages. Most of them didn't come back. On one farm, almost all of the valley's beef cattle. There's land here that will produce. Some of the richest soil in Newfoundland waits in the Codroy Valley. And once it did produce. There were plenty of fine, fat cattle, lush grass, fields of grain, and flourishing clubs for junior farmers. Before the young people started to leave, Codroy Valley was self-sufficient. Now, almost all of their supplies, even their milk, is imported from Cape Breton Island. It comes to Port aux Basques, supply port for the valley. The ferry crosses twice a day from North Sydney, loaded with supplies that the valley could produce. Leo Cormier wants his sons to be farmers, and he says the only way to do it is to set them a good example. He has 9 children. His oldest boy is 12. He's making a serious attempt to build up a farm that he can proudly pass on. Feed for his 20 dairy cows comes in on the ferry. He hopes eventually to grow his own grain. The farm is 120 acres, 50 of them reclaimed from bogland, rich black soil that gave him 3 tons of hay to the acre last summer. His milk sells for an excellent price and goes out of the valley over 200 miles to Grand Falls. Leo Cormier says there's a wonderful market for all the eggs I can produce, so he's building a poultry house that will hold 6,000 laying hens. Leo is a young man himself with a young family, and if more men like him had stayed home, Codroy Valley could flourish again. Too often, there's been the pull of outside work and regular pay, the mainland of Canada beckoning.
These faraway pastures seem pretty green sometimes, but what I have seen of it, that you can make a fast dollar once in a while, but there's no stability attached to it. The only thing about it is a faster way of life, there's bigger monies, but when you get down to the facts of earning a dollar and settling down, I still don't see anything wrong with Codroy Valley.
Leo says the trouble here is that young people don't see enough money coming in. There's a payday in the fall from crops and winter lumbering jobs in the woods. But I want a paycheck every 2 weeks. I want the boys to see the money coming in, so they'll get interested. I'm going to get this farm built up so that 2 or 3 will want to stay. The old farm will flourish again, and Leo's children will catch a glimpse of the Codroy Valley the older people remember. His parents have retired now, with pride and with hope. From their house on the corner of the farm, they can watch a young family blending new ways with old, and yet still retaining the simple values that mean so much in this corner of Newfoundland.
That was a show from way back in 1967 called This Land of Ours. Leo Cormier had a great influence on the dairy farming industry in this province. He was inducted into the Atlantic Agricultural Hall of Fame back in 1998. Leo Cormier passed away in 2012 at the age of 86. But Leo's wish came true for his family. His sons, Gerard and Danny Cormier, took over his dairy business. In 2004, they merged with the Chaffee family in St. David's and now operate West Valley Farms and New World Dairy. We hope you enjoyed our look back at this land and sea story from our archives, and we'll have another story for you next week.
Yes, and as you heard Jane say there, that's been a special look back at an early Land and Sea episode as we celebrate 60 years of one of CBC's longest running series, a series dedicated to our province's people, culture, and community. And as you heard, Jane 80 will return next Friday and every Friday this summer with another Land and Sea episode picked from the archives. And we'll also get some more updates on some of the families and the people featured in those episodes. Well, thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. We hope you can join us again on Monday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.